just kept an eye on him and emulated myself after this person because he's just been so successful in this industry. He's an international speaker. He's an author. He's a father. He's a great family man. And if anybody wanted to be like a person, I would say I'd like to be like this particular gentleman. And he's going to give you some really good words of wisdom today about how to build and just really this whole industry, how to structure your business, how to posture yourself, right? And again, like I said, I've watched this guy for a very long time, and it paid off. And look at that, just like it. I just want to be like Jim. That's how I was like, right? So it's my pleasure, great pleasure, to bring up Mr. Jim Britt.
As I was listening to Michael and listening to all of you, and I tried most of the products, and they're fabulous. I was thinking about the three things I love doing the most. First thing is I love to have fun. And anybody here for fun?
Yeah!
Second thing is I love to be healthy. Anybody like that?
Yeah!
I can say that I've never had the flu, so I can't really know what people go through when they have it. I don't get sick. I haven't had a cold for probably 6 or 7 years, and it was maybe for a day. But I have a mindset that I just can't get sick, and I refuse to. Maybe I am and don't know it. I don't know, but I have a passion for that, and I've always taken care of myself for at least the last 35 years since I was about 5. I've always taken care of myself. I've taken handfuls of supplements and tried to eat organic. I've got my own organic garden. I've got 2 greenhouses, so I've got organic vegetables in the wintertime. So we try to eat right. I eat meat, I eat grass-fed, and that type of thing. Because there's nothing worse than being sick. Would you agree?
Yes.
Nothing worse than being sick. Well, there's actually one thing worse than being sick.
Yeah.
That's being sick and broke. So the other thing that I have a passion for is enterprise, is business, is free enterprise. And I got my start in network marketing, so I have a passion for that as well. So I guess there's third thing is probably worse than being sick and broke. You know what it is? That's being sick and broke and stupid. Ouch. And I was at times in my life. Probably we all have been. But I want to tell you a little story and kind of back up and fill you in on how I got here and kind of what progressed for me. I don't have a formal education. I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, and people say to you, if you had it to do over again, would you go back and change it? And I said, yeah. I'd drop out in the 8th grade. So I wasn't a good student at school. If I made a D, I thought, whoa, man, I got a D. This is pretty good. But I got F's, and one year, my last year in school, I had one class I just didn't like, so I never went, and they never missed me. I never got an absentee. So anyway, I finally dropped out of school. I went to work in a gas station, pumping gas. I made $1 an hour, worked 60 hours a week, no overtime. I took home $52.10 every week. And I got married when I was 18. I had my first child when I was 19. And I had a job, lived in a small town in Oklahoma, and I thought maybe I didn't know what I'd be there the rest of my life. I didn't know. I had a job and I'm working. I got a family. Got a little place, a little apartment, and I was happy. Had a car, and I worked there for about around 2 years. And I had a tap on the shoulder, something that changed my life. You ever had that? Just a quick thing that changes your life. And one of our customers came in and he said, young man, he said, what are you doing working in this gas station? I said, yeah, you're good at it. He said, I come in here and he said, I know your days off, but I don't buy gas unless you're here. Really? You feel pretty good, a little recognition. And he said, you should be working in the factory on the assembly line. Well, I can't qualify for that. I said, I don't have a high school diploma. Well, he was a supervisor there, so he got me the job. And a few weeks later, I'm working in the factory. $1.67 an hour. But I only got to work 40 hours a week, so I took home about $52.10 a week. Same lifestyle, working inside, a little easier. And at the gas station, I always thought of myself as being the best gas station attendant in the world. I think I was. And in the factory, they rated you on an efficiency rating. I wired telephone switchboard components. And so if you ever got a wrong number and you thought you dialed the right one, it was because I put the wires on wrong. So I wired those components, and they'd give, they give you a component and say you got 8 hours to finish this. Well, I did the job of 4.57 people. That's how fast I was. 9,000 employees, I was number one. So I was the best factory worker in the world. And then one night, I was working the swing shift about midnight, somebody tapped me on the shoulder. And I turned around, and it's a guy working in the next area that I kind of knew casually, and he said, "Hey, Britt," and he said, "You gonna work in this factory the rest of your life?" I said, "I don't know, maybe." And I really didn't know. I had no direction. I had a desire to do more, just like everybody else does. He said, "Come go to this meeting with me." He said, "I think it's something we could do part-time and make some money." And I said, "What is it?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "What do you mean you don't know? You're going to some meeting?" I said, "My night off?" I said, "I'm not going with you." And he said, "Oh, come on, man." I said, "No, I'm not going." I said, "Tell me what it is." He said, "I don't know what it is, but I understand people are making money doing it." Then he said the magic word. He said, "If you go to the meeting with me, I'll buy the beer afterwards." You got it. So I went for the beer, not for the meeting. And I sat in this meeting, and probably about half this many people. I sat in the back of the room, a little nervous, because everybody's shaking everybody's hands, all the excitement going on, kind of like what was going on here earlier. And I didn't know what was happening. I sat down, kind of stretched down my chair, got near the door so I could get out of the fast. So I sat there and I listened to the first speaker. He gets up and talks about his product. It was a soap product. It wasn't Amway, but it was a soap product. And I'm going, it didn't click. How do I make money with soap? I get my soap in the grocery store. And the second speaker gets up and starts drawing a bunch of circles on the board and starts talking about how much money you can make. And I'll never forget when he wrote $2,000 a month. Now, I hardly made that in a year. And I sat up and my ears perked up and I listened. And about 5 minutes into his talk, I said, "I can do this." I said, "I can do this. And not only that, but I'm going to get rich doing this." And I made that decision right then and there that I was going to get wealthy doing that business. So you could start for $3, $300, or $4,000. Now I had $9 in the bank. It was a Wednesday night. By Friday, that's gone. I had no savings. I had no equity. I had no way to get any money. My family was less fortunate than I was financially. I had no friends that had any money. I had no way to get money. So the meeting giver walks up to me and he said, "So young man, you want to be a part of our company?" "Yeah." He said, "Which position would you like to start at?" And I don't know where it came from, but I said the $4,000 level. $4,000 level. He said, "Really? Okay." He said, we filled out some paperwork, and at the end of it, he said, "Well, all I need is a check." I said, "Well, I don't have the money." He said, "You mean you don't have a check?" And I said, "No, I mean I don't have the money." He said, "Well, how are you going to come up with it?" I said, "I'll go to my bank tomorrow and borrow it." So I went down the next day to my bank where I had my $9 on deposit. Filled out a long form paperwork, and my banker looked it over and, "Okay, looks good. Yeah, I got a job, this and that." And he said, "So what do you plan to use for collateral for this loan?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "What are you going to use for security to secure the loan?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Do you have a value that I can come and get if you don't pay this?" I said, "Well, I'm going to pay it." He said, "Yeah, well, everybody says that." He said, "I'm sorry, young man." He said, "I can't loan you the money." threatened to move my account, didn't even faze the guy. So I thought, okay, well, let's go to another bank. So I went to another bank. I'm 22 years old. I went to another bank and another bank and another bank until I exhausted all the bank sources. All of them told me no. And then I went to loan companies, Dow Finance, Beneficial Finance. I mean, I went to all of the old loan companies, high interest rate. I didn't care. I'm going to get in this business one way or the other. 22 turndowns. I had one left to go. One left to go. And I was going to have to go to another city. One left. And it was in the phone book. I'll never forget. It looked, their ad even looked a little shady. And I get to their office and it looked a little shady. I walk in the back door, it's filled with smoke up to about here. The guy sitting at the chair and behind his desk with his feet up on the desk smoking a big cigar. And his greeting was, "What do you want?" I said, "Money. I want to borrow some money. Come on back. You're at the right place." Long story short, he gambled on me. He loaned me the money on a signature loan. And the rate was only, it was like 50, 60%. Gold in his pocket. I mean, I don't know if it was mafia, I'm not sure. All I wanted was that money to get started. So I got started. And about 2 weeks after I got everything signed up, this big truck pulled up in front of my door and unloaded just about full semi-truck full of soap into my double-car garage. Completely filled it to the front and a few cases left over. So I'm in business. 2 weeks later, they informed me that I had qualified to move to the next position. All I needed was another $4,000. I didn't make any money qualifying. I just recruited somebody. So I didn't know what to do. So I go to my father-in-law and I beg him to mortgage his farm, his dairy farm, $4,000. And he did. Now I've got about 16,000 bottles of soap in my house. Half of them are in my house. And then the first person I sponsored, his order showed up. He had a smaller home than I did, a single car garage, 12 kids. And his wife saw this piled up in the driveway and she said, "Either this goes or you go." He calls me up and he said, "I'm going to give it to you. You can have it." Now I've got 24,000 bottles. I can tell you stories about it. I didn't have to even take a shower anymore. I got dry cleaned from the fumes. That's how I started. So now I'm going to get rich in the soap business. And set a goal to talk to 10 people every day. 10 people. And the way I tracked that, we didn't have computers back then. I put 10 beans in my pocket. It's an Oklahoma deal, you know? 10 beans in my pocket. And every time I talked to somebody, I'd flip it. That's how I tracked it. 10 every day. And for the first year, I talked to over 3,650 people.
Wow.
My first year.
Nice.
And I still had 24,000 bottles of soap. And I had no money. And my home had a notice on the door that had already been foreclosed. And it said, by order of the sheriff, you have 5 days. Both of my vehicles had been repoed. All of my furniture had been repoed. They even took my Kirby vacuum cleaner. Can you believe that? I'm done. I mean, I got nothing in my house but soap. That was it. And I didn't know what to do. But you know, the one thing that I wasn't going to do was quit.
That's right.
My dad comes by and he said, he sees a notice on the door. He said, "Son," he said, "you've lost everything." He said, "You've got to go back to the factory." And I looked at him and I said, "Dad, I can't." He said, "Of course they would hire you back." And I said, "No, you don't get it. I can't go back." I said, "I don't have it in me to retreat. I just can't." He said, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know. But I'm getting rich in this business." And over the next 5 days, a series of circumstances, a series of miracles, I'd say, took place. And I had a car to drive. I had $300 a week coming into my pocket. I had another opportunity presented to me where I could make some money. initial money, and I didn't know if I could even do it, but I said yes, I would. And I have to tell that story at some other point because it's kind of a long story. But I had a 3-bedroom apartment furnished, so I had furniture and an apartment. All this happened in 5 days. And a place to put all my soap. And I think things come to people when they just won't give up.
That's right.
Somebody look down and go, might as well give it to him. And he's not going to quit. I wasn't going to quit. And the last miracle that took place during that 5 days was my sponsor quit. And his sponsor came by to visit me. My sponsor was worse off than I was. He came by to visit me, and we sat on my floor, and he gave me 6 things to do every day. And he said, if you do these things, you'll become wealthy. He found a couple things I was doing wrong. We corrected, spent about 2 hours with me, coaching me, mentoring me, whatever you want to call it. I didn't know what it was. We were just sitting on my floor talking because I had no furniture. And the next month, I made $2,500.
Nice.
More than I'd made in a year.
Nice.
I made over $6,000. And the next month, I made over $12,000.
Nice.
And within 6 months, I was clicking about $40,000, $45,000 a month.
That's right.
Nice.
And when I went into my bank, he called me Mr. Britt. And within a year from the time I set my floor, I had $1 million in the bank. Just shy, a few thousand. I could have quit any time. And looking back and going, why did I do that? Was I stupid or what? I mean, I lost it. Would you go to that extreme to do what you want to do? Now, I've learned something over the years, and in business and personally. What you'll find about me is what I share is what I've experienced, not what I've heard. Not what I've heard from somebody else, not what I've read in a book. I've read a lot of books, but I like to experience things before I actually share with people. And let me ask you, would you trade $4,000 for $1 million? Sure. If somebody knew something that you knew and you believed, and they thought that they could take you from where you are now to $1 million, if you don't already have it, for $4,000, would it be worth that? And that's essentially what I did. I traded $4,000 I didn't have for $1 million. It took me a little while to make the transition. 3,650 people that first year. People talk about rejection. So I eat that stuff for breakfast. I just get up and go. Was I good at it? No. I wasn't good at talking to people, not when I started. But every time I talk to somebody and they'd say no, I'm going, what did I do wrong? And I was always asking myself, how could I do this better? Somebody asked me a while back, they heard me talking to somebody at a coffee counter. I was at a convention someplace speaking. And they saw me within 5 minutes, exchanged cards. A woman wrote a bunch of stuff down, and she got my website and all this stuff, wanted to buy some of my books, and they listened to me, and they said, how do you do that? Can you teach us how to do that? I said, yeah. I said, first I want you to go out and talk to 3,650 people. You know what I discovered in our business, in network marketing, and I do more than network marketing. I'm an entrepreneur too. I have other types of businesses, and I've written 12 books and 3 different categories. Entrepreneurship is one, and network marketing is one, and another program I call The Power of Letting Go, which is pretty critical in our business. But 3 things I discovered that your prospects don't care about. Probably want to write these down. 3 things that they don't care about when they meet you the first time. This is somebody that you don't know. They don't care about you. They don't care about your product. And they don't care about your business opportunity. That's where you start. And if they don't get past you, they don't get to hear about the product or the business opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they have to buy you before they buy anything else. So what I want to talk about today is you. And I want to talk about how to master the art of networking. And also the 6 things that wealthy networkers have in common. And if you apply these 6 things, you cannot not succeed in this business. You just can't. If you don't apply them, then you won't. But these 6 things apply to anything, really. I should call them the 6 things that you can use to accomplish anything you want in your life. Whether it's making more money, building a big organization, losing weight, being healthy, having a better relationship, whatever it is. Same 6 things. So you ready for them?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to change anything in your life, if you want to change your business, if you want to be successful here, it starts with this one. Now these are pretty simple things. I don't talk in complex things, so you'll be able to understand. In fact, I talk on a 10th grade level. That's as far as that went. So you won't have any trouble understanding. The first trait or first thing you need if you want to change anything is you have to have a desire to change. Does that make sense? You got a desire to change. Now, I believe that most everybody has a desire to change. Not everybody, but most people do. I did in the factory. I did in the gas station. I didn't know how to do it, but that's a whole different thing. But you have to have a desire to change. Because if it's not burning in your gut that you want something more, even if you don't know how you're going to get there or what that is, you still have to desire it. Or if you look at yourself and you go, I want to lose some weight, or I want to get healthier, or I want to get better at something, you have to have a desire to do that, because that's what's going to drive it. That's what's going to light the passion inside you to make that happen. Now, the problem with that we have in this country and probably in parts of the world is that everybody's got a desire to have more. They like to complain about what they don't have. But there is a disease in this country, and it's rampant. And there's probably somebody, and it's highly contagious, by the way. There's probably 1 or 2 people in this room that has it. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't met everybody. But it's contagious. Might be somebody sitting right next to you. They look around. I call it static action disease. You know what that is? You come to an event like this, and you know, some of you had to travel to get here. You know, some got trapped in snowstorms, some had to struggle to get here on time, but you're here, which means you have a desire to change. But you sit, you take notes, you listen all the way through the event, and you go back home, and you share with your significant other, if they're not with you, that, man, this is it. Well, you got it now. This is the opportunity. We're going to make money. We're going to get rich. We're going to change lives. We're going to do all of these things. And you get home Sunday night, and you go to bed all excited. Say, let's go ahead and get the yacht. We're going to start shopping for that one. Let's expand our home. Get that new Mercedes. You go to bed Sunday night all excited, can barely sleep. Then you wake up Monday morning, and you go static. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. So if you get an idea while you're here, go apply it. Make things happen. So it takes more than desire. The thing that really lights your desire. Now, a lot of people have desire, but what they do is they take their pay raises and they go buy a bigger television so they can be more comfortable in their misery.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with a big TV. I've got a 100-inch screen. Cool. But I don't sit in front of it every day. But if I want to watch a movie, I want to get in my movie room and watch a nice big screen. But if I want to buy it to compensate for my misery, so I can be more comfortable, then I need to get rid of it. I need to shoot it. The next thing you have to have is that you got to make a decision to change. Now that's a problem too. for a lot of people. They made a decision. You made a decision to be here. You made a decision to join Asante. You made a decision to do. We make all kinds of decisions. You know, we decide what we're going to do in the morning when we get up. We decide what we're going to have for breakfast. We decide whether we're going to eat organic or not organic. We decide whether we're going to exercise or not. We decide what clothes to put on, to drive to work, to fight the traffic. Whatever it is we do, we decide to do it. In fact, whatever you have in your life right now, any of us, we decided to have it. Now you might look and go, well, I don't like where I am. Well, then change what you decide. Because we decide based on a series of decisions, we end up where we are. Now here's what happens with decision. I think it was you said you had self-talk. Negative, I heard you back there. So negative self-talk. So my first full year, I wanted to make $10,000 a month. Now that's a stretch from $200 a month. But that was my goal every month, $10,000 a month. But as soon as I would set that goal, write it down, my mind would go to work. And would go, what do you mean $10,000 a month? You've never made $10,000 in your entire career, let alone in a month. You make $200 a month. Come on, man. What do you think? So I talk myself out of it. Or I go talk to 4 or 5 people and I start talking myself out of it. You see, if you want to be wealthy, you know what wealth is? Think about this. It's not having huge amounts of money. It's not having millions of dollars. That's rich. But wealth is having enough residual income coming in every month that that completely covers your overhead, plus an extra 1,000 or 2. So you got a little play money. And that way you can get up in the morning and decide what you want to do, not what you have to do. Yeah. How would that feel?
Nice.
That is wealthy. Yes. That's wealthy. So that should be your first goal, just to get wealthy. I didn't know that back then. If I could have just made $200 a month, I wouldn't have lost everything. So if you want to be wealthy, you have to make a decision to be wealthy. If you want to get rich, you have to make a decision to get rich. Whatever rich is to you. If you want to be free, if you want to experience freedom in your life, you have to decide what freedom is, then you have to decide to have it. And when you decide to have it, that means nothing less than that will do. You can't decide to be wealthy or rich and experience mediocrity at the same time. It's 2 different decisions. So if you end up with this, it means you decided to have that based on the actions and things that you took that moved you away from it. A decision creates a mindset. And a mindset will make you as predictable, mechanical, and as predictable as a calculator. Hit this number, it appears up on the screen. That's a mindset. It determines how you show up. And how you show up determines how people show up for you and support you. I'm not talking about the law of attraction, none of that. I used to believe in that. I used to teach it, actually. And I just came out with a new book called The Law of Realization. And it actually proves that the law of attraction doesn't work, scientifically. What works is when you make a decision, your view of the world changes. Your view of people change. Their view of you changes. Everything changes when you decide to be something different. You decided to be something different, right? I like that dress you used to wear. I mean, look at the before and after. That's a decision. It's a decision to be healthy or not. It's a decision to be wealthy or not. It's all a decision. Because you look around, people say, yeah, but the economy. It's all up here. This is the economy that needs to change. So you got to make a decision that creates such passion inside you about that. And we've all done it. Maybe it's a decision that you made to get a degree or have a certain thing in your life or buy a new car or, nothing short of that will do. Let's say you make a decision to get yourself a new Corvette. And you want a red Corvette with black interior and all of the extras and all this stuff. You know, you've seen them going down the street, you've driven them, you've got a passion for it, and you're saving your money, and your whole thing is you're going to walk in with a shoebox full of cash and pay for it cash, $100 bills, just for fun, to see the look on the car dealer's face. So you finally get your box full of cash, you head for the car dealer, and you walk in, you say, I'm here to get myself a red Corvette with these extras. And he says, well, I'm sorry, but he said, we don't have a red Corvette. We've got a black one, we don't have a red. Thank you very much. You go to another dealer. Well, we don't have a red Corvette. Well, check your computer and see where there's a red Corvette. We'll get one shipped in. They looked and he said, you know, there's not a red Corvette anywhere in this country. In fact, GM is on strike, and they're not making Corvettes right now. So you'd have to take what we have. But he said, you know what? I got a deal for you. Come on out here. Let me show you something. You go out in the back lot. Say, see this little baby here? This is a Chevette. This comes in 7 colors, 7 different colors. And for the same price as that Corvette, you can have 7 Chevettes. You just wrap this up. Now, what would you say? No. Why? Because you got a Corvette mindset, right? Sure. Saved your money, you made a decision, that's what you want. Nothing else but that will do. You know why they make Chevettes? For people who don't decide. Now, if you have a Chevette and you like it, and that's okay, and that's what you want, it's okay. There's no right or wrong. It's what you want. And see, if you don't have what you want, then that's wrong. Not in this country. It's wrong. So you got to decide. The next thing you got to do is you got to take action. There's so many people who are getting ready to get ready. Well, I'll go talk to people as soon as I got my business card. I expect to be memorable without a business card. How about you?
Yes.
You don't need to wait for a business card. Well, as soon as I get my office all organized, you got to organize your office. But don't wait to get started. You got to take action. You got to put the beans in your pocket and go out and talk to 10 people or 5 people or 3 people or whatever it is. What if you talk to 10 a day? It's 3,650 people in a year. Do you think you get some results? Even if you're not good at it.
Absolutely.
Think about it. You got a line of 3,650 people, and you want to get good at presenting Asante products or opportunity, or both. And you talk to one, you know you got 3,650. Do you think you would be pretty good by the time you got to
Sure.
Sure. Okay. That's hard to do, and I'm not talking about pushing a button on the internet and doing email. Worst form of communication ever created. Yeah. It really is. So, what if you talk to 5 a day? Is that doable?
Sure.
How about, I can see some places full time, how about 3 a day? Could you do 3 a day?
Sure.
That's 1,000 people in a year. Could you get some results with 1,000 people you presented this to? Yeah. How about 2 a day? That's over 700 people in a year. How about 1 a day? 1 a day. That's 365 people in a year. And I would venture to say that the average network marketer in this country, over 15 million of us, haven't talked to 365 people in their entire career. Maybe the same 365 over and over and over, because they go from one thing to another. There's people out there that need this product, that passionately desire it, and they don't know it exists. There's people out there, you think people need to make money today? Yeah. There's people out there that desperately need an opportunity. And when you can tie a great opportunity with a great product line, what else could be more important today? People need to be healthier, they need to be wealthier. Even if it's a few $100s a month. I mean, about $500 would save most people from bankruptcy. It'll pay for their car, it might pay for their apartment, it might pay for half of it, it might send a kid to college or to school or whatever. Doesn't take much to change a person's life. But you gotta take action. Gotta take action, whatever that is. I don't know what that is for you. Maybe it's part-time. I have a little slogan I've been using for years: 2 a day, 10 in play. If you go talk to 2 a day for 5 days, you got 10 in play. You got 10 that's watched your video or watched your tool, whatever it is that you use to present your opportunity or your product. Or they've got samples or whatever it is you use. I'm not up on that, so I don't know. But if you talk to 2 every day, by the end of 5 days, you've got 10 people that you're following up on. And every day you're adding 2 more to that. And you're working through the ones that you're following up on. That'll build a business. That'll build a business. So, gotta take action. Don't wait. Don't put it off. Don't wait till someday. I had a guy call me one time, and he said, I've been to one of your seminars, and he said, I want to run a company by you, and I want to get your feedback, see if you think it's a good company. So we started talking about the company and gave me the name of it. And I said, yeah, I know the company. They're a good company. I said, it'd be great. I said, but let me ask you some questions. I said, why do you want to do it? Well, I want to make a lot of money. I said, well, why do you want money? He said, well, I want to have more fun in my life. I want to be able to travel. I got him really clear about what he wanted. Not just what he wanted, but why he wanted it. Because that builds the passion inside. And he was all excited. He said, man, he said, I never even thought about setting my goals and taking it to another level. He said, I feel great right now. I said, great. I said, when are you going to get started? He said, well, right now, he said, I'm going through some stuff. I said, what are you going through? He said, well, the IRS is auditing me. He said, it's just consuming me. I'm going through a divorce. And he said, that's really stressful. He said, my company that I work for is downsizing and I could get cut. So I'm kind of waiting to see. And he named off 2 or 3 other things. And I said, hold it. I said, you wanted my opinion on something. I'm going to give you another opinion. I said, which do you honor the most? Your vision or your stuff? He said, my vision. I said, then start now, today. He said, but you don't understand. He started to go through it again. I said, hold it. I said, I do understand. And I said, here's what I understand. If you focus on your stuff, once you get finished with it, you're going to have a whole new set of stuff. And once you finish that, you'll have more reasons not to do it. He said, are you saying don't handle my stuff? I said, no, I'm not saying that. Take responsibility, handle it, but focus on this. Get started today. Because what I know, and probably what you've discovered, if you don't have stuff and you're on planet Earth here, you probably don't have a pulse. Because there's stuff going on. I mean, business itself is, the whole objective of business is solving problems. But we're in the problem business. You are, Michael is, it's all problem business. We're solving problems. So you got to take action. Don't wait. And the next thing is you got to be bold. You got to be bold in this, but you got to be bold in life. You got to step up and do something. You know, when that 5 days that I had to be out on the street, I'll tell you a quick story. That other opportunity came along. I needed some money. We had no food, no way to get it, no vehicle. And I had a customer that had bought some carpet shampoo from me. He owned some apartment complexes. And I worked for him during high school one summer doing cleanup around his housing development that he was building. And I always carried a hammer, saw, and a ruler. And occasionally I'd hammer something, I saw something, and I'd measure something, you know? And I watched him. And I would see him walk through the construction when it was all framed, measure doorways and stuff like that. So I kind of knew what he was doing. So I would measure some stuff occasionally, and I'd tell him, hey, that door over there is supposed to be a 3.0 door, and it's set up for a 2.6. And he goes over and measures. He said, wow, that's a good find. And he thought I was brilliant. I mean, he did. He thought I knew all about this stuff, but I really didn't know anything. But I was good at cleaning up. And he liked me. So I thought, I'm going to take 5 gallons of carpet shampoo to him and see if he'll buy it. 5 gallons, not, he bought a gallon the time before. But he said he liked it. So I grabbed 5-gallon bucket of carpet shampoo. It's only about 3 miles to carry that 5 gallons. You have to carry 5 gallons of about 3 miles in the middle of summer in Oklahoma at 100 degrees and 100% humidity. And I had no food for a while. And I grabbed that bucket and I started walking. And I'd walk about 100 yards and I'd set it down. And I'd sit down in the bucket. I'm breathing hard and I'd regain a little bit of my energy and I'd grab the bucket and walk some more. And one time I'm just going, what am I doing? Should I go back to the factory? My mind's working on me. One time, about halfway there, I just broke down. I didn't know what to do. I'm sitting on this bucket in the middle of the summer, in the middle of the heat wave, and out on the street, sitting on the bucket crying. Took a few deep breaths, regained my composure, grabbed the bucket, and walked some more. And I walked 3 miles with that bucket. And I set it down, walked in his office. Just as I walked in, he walked out of his office. And he said, Jim, hey, good to see you. He said, what can I do for you? And I said, well, I brought you a bucket of carpet shampoo. Got it on special this month, and I knew that you bought some before and figured you probably need some. He said, I do. And yes. And I'm thinking, I hope he doesn't say I'll send you a check. Because in 5 days, I got no place to get it. And I couldn't wait 5 days. I needed money today. I got a wife and a child. And we need some food. And about that time, his accountant walks out of her office and he says, would you cut Jim a check for this? Saved. And he said, and do you have a few minutes? He said, my brother and I would like to talk to you. He said, we've been talking about you for the last month. I said, really? What about? And he said, well, come on in. So I go into his office and we sat down, the 3 of us, and he said, so how's your business going? I said, great. It's going great. I got a check in my hand. Good, I'm have some food. And he said, well, my brother and I have been talking, and he said, we're going to build this apartment complex. In fact, we're going to build a bunch of them. And we're going to spread around to different states, and we want to build a lot of them. This is apartments. We're first starting to really take off, big complexes. And he said, we'd like to talk to you about being a partner in one of them. I said, well, you know, I really don't have much money to invest right now. Give me his check back, I guess. But, you know, I said, it's probably not for me. He said, no, we don't want any money. He said, we like you, you're honest, you work hard, and he said, and you know something about construction. And he said, we want to have you build one of these apartment complexes for us. And he said, we'll make you a partner. He said, if you finish it on time, 1 year, you get it's about a $50,000 bonus. And he said, if every day that goes past a year, you lose 1,000 of that bonus. And every day that goes before that year, or before that year deadline, you earn another 1,000 a day. And there were several other things, plus some ownership in that complex. I had no clue how to build an apartment complex. I know how to measure doors. And I kind of had an inkling that the foundation went in before the roof went on. You know what I said? He said it pays $300 a week, a vehicle. If you need a place to live, 3-bedroom apartment furnished right here. Wow. He said, can you do it? And I looked him right in the eye. I said, yep. I said, let's do it. Let's do it. And I said, yes. Then I had to figure out how. I figured if I just made $300 and he fired me, hold me over for a couple of months. And I'm in a 3-bedroom apartment he couldn't get me out of for a few months. But I said yes. Guess how long it took me to build 52 units of apartments?
6 months.
8 months.
Wow.
They could not even believe it. In fact, what was even more unbelievable to them, 10 years later, after we co-owned over 5,000 units of apartments, I told them that I didn't know what I was doing when I built the first one. And the Warner Brothers go, no way. You built that thing in 8 months. Of course you knew what you were doing. Nope. I had no clue. I had no clue. Well, how'd you do it? I said, I got on the phone and figured it out. I got on the phone and I would call a contractor and say, if you were going to build an apartment complex, what would be the first thing you'd do? And what's the second thing? And what's the third thing? And pretty soon they go, well, what is this all about? And I hang up on call. And I start at number 4. And I wrote all this stuff down in the journal, and that's how I learned to build. I didn't know how to read a plan, I didn't, but I did. You gotta be bold. Say yes, figure it out. You don't know how to go recruit. Say yes, figure it out. The next thing, we're getting close to the end, you got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. If you fear talking to strangers, you got to go do it. Got to go do it. Fear is nothing to fear. Fear is man-made. We create our fear. Isn't that amazing? We're afraid of our own creation. We're afraid of our own thoughts. Fear is simply taking a past experience, projecting it into the future with the anticipation of it happening again, and then re-experiencing it in the moment. So get out of the past, get out of the future. Just do what needs to be done now. But I can tell you one thing for sure, and this based on experience. The person sitting in this room, in your chair right now, and all of your hopes and dreams, you can't have those things. You have to become somebody different in order to have it. Because, like I told a fellow the other day, I said, if you keep, he wanted to go from 40,000 a year to 120,000 a year, and I said, you've got to get around people that's making that, because if you stay around people making 40, that's what you're going to do. You got to change. You got to get around where it's better. You got to learn new things. You got to grow. You got to stretch yourself. I got into reading books and decided I couldn't read fast enough, so I found the fastest reader in the world in the Guinness Book of World Records. He taught me to read. I read 5 to 10 books a day. Through over 4,000 books. I don't even read anymore. I stopped. So I finally found the answer. But you got to be willing to step out. You know what my greatest fear in life was? Ever. I ask people all the time, what's your greatest fear? A woman in one of my workshops recently, she said, I have a fear of heights. And I said, no, you don't. She said, yes, I do. I said, you ever been to Denver? She said, yeah, that's a mile high. Did it scare you? Well, no. I said, then you're afraid of widths, not heights. Oh, yeah. It's a whole different way of looking at it, right? Yeah. So, my greatest fear was speaking in public. And when I committed to do it the first time, it was 4 months out in advance when I booked it. And I went outside and threw up that day. And during that 4 months, I lost about 15 pounds. I was terrified. And the day I finally did it, I was trying anything I could do to get out of it. Anything. In fact, I was in a hotel, waiting. Overnight, I didn't sleep, not a wink. I was trying to come up with something clever to get out of this speaking engagement. And I finally did, about 7 in the morning. Got me so excited. I'm going to go have an accident in my car. Not a big one. I don't want to hurt anybody. But one that I could say, look, got an accident. I would rather have a dented fender than to go speed. Makes sense. So I'm all excited now. I'm not sure where I'm going to go do it, but I decided I'm going to go do it. And about that, I reached for the doorknob to leave, and somebody knocks on the door. I'm thinking it's a maid. I open the door, it's the guy that booked me into the talk. And he said, I came to pick you up. and I'm thinking, I'm driving and he's going to be in an accident. So I said, I'm driving. He said, no, I'm driving. I said, no, I want to drive. He said, no, I'm driving. I said, I really want to drive. And he said, I'm driving. I'm parked in front of the door. Okay, now how do I do this? Grab a keyboard. What do I do? Do I want to wreck his car? I can't believe it. Just blew my whole game plan. And I went and spoke that day. There was about 20 people. I had this many notes. I only spoke for 20 minutes. And I thought they'd maybe have a podium so I could lay all my notes. No, I'm up here with this many notes in my arm, totally naked, no clothes. At least that's the way I felt. No clothes. And I spoke for 20 minutes. I couldn't take the note. I couldn't look at it. I have no clue what I said. I went blind. I couldn't even see the people. I was so terrified. And when I left there, I said, never again. I walked out. I'm waiting for him to come out. I'm going, I'm hyperventilating. I'm looking for a bag to go over my head. So I'm going like this. I'm going, I can't do this. And by the time I get to the car, I calmed down a little bit. I said, okay, Jim Britt, you got one of two choices. Never do it again, which has already occurred to me, or do it often until you get better at it. And after about 10 minutes, I chose the latter. Now, I had almost 300 salespeople that promoted seminars. For me, have you heard of Jim Rohn? Mm-hmm. Jim Rohn and I were in business together for 9 years. And we go back to he was in the soap company I was in. That's where we met. And Tony Robbins, you ever heard of Tony Robbins? Tony worked for me for 5 years. I coached him and helped him start his current company that he has. I coached him during that time. And so I went to all of the salespeople and put the word out that I would do a talk for them. 20 to 30 minute talk for 50 people or more, up to 3 a day to promote seminars, which I did for the next 5 years. And at the end of 5 years, I was still terrified. Nobody knew it, but I was. Well, I remember the day when I was no longer terrified. The day when I walked into a group of about 400 people in Park City, Utah, and I opened the door, and here's all these people in it, and my thought was, let me at them. I had no nervousness, I had no queasiness, I had no butterflies. It eventually went away after 1,500 talks. Got to step out of your comfort zone. The last thing, I was on a panel a while back, and I was asked, what's the one thing that's had the biggest effect on your career and your life that you've learned? Without even hesitation, I said, learning to let go. Learning to let go. And I learned this almost 30 years ago. And I discovered it when I found that a lot of other things didn't work. Motivation doesn't work. If it worked, we'd all be rich. And positive thinking doesn't work. If it did, we'd all be rich and happy. Affirmations don't work. We'd all be rich and happy. What stops us is we're all addicted. We're all addicted to who we are. We get into an addictive cycle that can't be broken unless you know how to break it, or unless you accidentally break it. That cycle goes something like this. You have an experience, you attach a feeling to it. Feeling is just energy held inside. Nobody loves me, or whatever. You start to think that's who you are. Because your authority figure, or whomever it was, that you experienced this from, pretty soon you start to believe that that's who you are. And whatever you believe, you start to act out. And one of the great things about a belief that I discovered is they're all false. All beliefs are false. All of them. Think about that. It's something that you've decided is true. It may not be at all. So you may think it's hot here. Another person may think it's cold. You may think this business is easy. Somebody else says, no, it's hard. It's a belief, and we act out our beliefs. And when we take an action, we create a result. And if we take an action from that cycle and create the result, it just feeds the original experience again. Because we will do whatever it takes to protect and defend and to prove ourselves right about that belief, even if it's to our destruction. It's like a drug addiction. You take a drug, you get all high, That's what I heard. I've not tried it, but you get all high on the drug, and then you say, well, I'll never do that again. And what do? You do it again. You have an abusive relationship. I'll never do that again. What do? You do it again. You struggle, lose money. Well, I'll never do that again. What happens? You do it again. Keep doing it. That's why I created a program called The Power of Letting Go. And it's so simple, but we just don't know how to do it. It's just like our business here. The entry point to making this business work is letting go of the old stuff. Letting go of the old stuff. And focusing on now. And you've heard live in the moment. What that means is the past doesn't exist. It only exists if you bring it in. It's not, you had an upset at the office this morning. Where is it right now? Well, if you're carrying it around, it's inside you. But it doesn't exist anymore. That anticipation of worry about tomorrow, that doesn't exist right now. Because it can't. It's only inside you. So it's focusing on the here and now. So it's a self-management action. So I don't know how much time I'm supposed to be speaking here. I may be done already. I'm not sure. Nobody told me how long to speak. But
I'm trying to grab my iPhone. 15 more minutes.
oh, okay. All right. Good.
Bring it home.
All right. So let me tell you about two things I just did, and then I'll wind up with a little bit here. I just went through and recreated all of my training material for network marketing. 26 audios. It's everything I've learned in the last 35 years in this business. And I've made millions of dollars as a network marketer, made millions of dollars as an entrepreneur, and other types of businesses. And a lot of it is about you. Some of it's about prospecting, some scripts, some things that you use to build your business. All generic, but it works for every network marketing business because they're all pretty much the same except for some variations like product and comp plan and things like that. But basically, all the same. And here's my slogan: if it's not in these 26 audios, it does not belong in network marketing. It's there. It's all there. And then I just redid my Power of Letting Go program, which contains 16 informational audios. All of these, by the way, are just about an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour. So there's 26 hours of study. And there's 16 hours of studying the Power of Letting Go, showing you the different ways you hang on and all the ways that it's possible to let go. And once you start doing it, I'm telling you, your life will change the first time you use it. The first time you use it, you'll see a difference. Now, and then I have 4 audios with the Power of Letting Go that's experiential. In my workshops, I take people through guided, kind of like a guided meditation, but a letting go process.